All guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 are brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know, we're talking Johnny Cuba, official beer of ZASLOW Show 2.0, European roots of the Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. How else do you think we're going to enjoy NBA playoffs tonight? Florida Panther game 1 tomorrow night, then with a nice cold Johnny Cuba in our hand. Make sure you always drink responsibly, and don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. And joining us now is our pal, Panthers radio color analyst, Billy Lindsay, here with us as he is on his way to the airport here as the Panthers, they're going to be taking off, wheels up, heading over to Tampa. Very short flight, game 1 tomorrow night, Panthers and Lightning. Billy, thanks for hanging out with us. So give me your thoughts first on it's unique the way that Paul Maurice handled the last couple weeks of the season, I believe, because you don't normally see players getting, rest days before the playoffs. But of course, this Panther team is looking for a third consecutive Stanley Cup appearance. So give me your thoughts on the way the coach handled the last few weeks of the season.
It was imperative to kind of go down that route. You've been to back-to-back Stanley Cups. You talk about that. But if you look at that first Stanley Cup that they went to against Vegas, and they crawled into the playoffs on the last day of the year, they had that brutal first-round series against Boston. And by the time they got to the Stanley Cup, they had duct tape piecing shoulders together, ankles, sternums. There just wasn't a lot left. It's one of the biggest grinds in the NHL. They found out last year, but they were mostly healthy going into the playoffs and were able to stay that way. And if you have that, you got a good advantage. Still went down to game 7. Shows you how much you need everybody, and you need them healthy. So no matter where you're positioned, with the amount of hockey that they had played, Paul Maurice felt, I need everyone as close to 100% as possible once we hit this ground running. Whether we got home ice advantage, whether we got the division title, the Panthers believe they can win anywhere. It doesn't matter. Drop the puck. If it's in Alaska, in the mountains, let's play. It's game on. They got that kind of mentality, that kind of belief. So really good job by Paul Maurice, in my personal opinion, just making sure that you have this healthy roster going into the playoffs. The chemistry is going to be fine. They played together for a long time, these guys. And Marchand coming in, he's got enough reps with, looks like he's going to play with Lindell and Luostarinen. Everything should be fine. And you got these days off. We are the last series out of the gate. So you have a little extra rest to benefit you as well before you start this, what could be one hectic series against Tampa Bay.
That's what I figured, is that Marchand will be with Lundell and Luostarinen on that third line. Does that make sense to you? I know a lot of people are like, we'd love to see Tkachuk and Bennett, but how has he looked with Lundell and Luostarinen? It seems like they got something going there.
Yeah, I think Marchand can play with anyone, and Lundell is so responsible defensively, and same thing with Luostarinen. They're going to be a real hard check-in line to match up against. If you go into a place like Tampa Bay and you look at their first 2 lines, they're pretty stout. And you got the Barkov line. You don't have last line change. And all of a sudden, if Kucherov and Point come on the ice and you get Lundell, I think Paul Maurice is fine with Lundell against those top players and Luostarinen and Marchand. So he doesn't have to go chasing matchups per se. I think that's the importance of Marchand on that line. And the emergence of Samoskevich is a big story here. Just to put into, if he's going to go on that second line, if Tkachuk's healthy, Bennett, Tkachuk, or Samoskevich, and then Barkov, Verhaeghe, and Reinhart stay together. And then you also have all this flexibility with Evan Rodriguez, was a playoff hero last year. If all the pieces are together, it's hard to think that maybe he'll start down on the fourth line. But that's all interchangeable. And just like last year, ZASLOW, you have 2 fourth lines again, winger sets. Anyway, you got Nico Sturm in the middle, like you had Kevin Stenlund last year. Sturm's going to play the middle. But then you can go into like a Rodriguez Boqvist if you want. You can go into a Greer Gadjevich, kind of depending on the matchup. You can kind of float around with that fourth line. It can be extra physical, maybe a little bit more offensive minded, just kind of where you see where your matchup is into a series, whether it's going to be heavy. So Paul Maurice just has really a ton of options up front.
Having been out so long, what will it be like for Tkachuk to be back in the lineup? Like, it's not as if, all right, you have a few games to kind of get, your rhythm back. This game 1 tomorrow night, So what will that be like for him after so much time off?
It's going to be so quick and so fast. But the benefit of all this, is that Kachuk, the injury occurred at the Four Nations, but when you play in that Four Nations, I know this is going to be blistering fast hockey, but it's not even comparable when you get the best players on the ice. That's another level up. So Kachuk the last time that he was playing, he was seeing it at the fastest possible level that you can see ice hockey, and the ability to superstars to adapt. If you go back to the Stanley Cup that Tampa won their first time around, Kucherov was out the majority of the whole season. He came back in game one, and it looked like he'd been playing. You're talking about an extremely talented player in Kucherov, but he had an impact right away. We were playing in that series, and I was like, holy cow, Kucherov missed a whole year, and he looks like this in game one. So Kachuk with that kind of skill, as long as he's got the legs underneath him, the shifts will be shorter if he's able to play 30, 40 seconds, get off the ice. But the timing for a player like Kachuk and the stuff that he's seen throughout the course of his career will come back relatively quickly.
What have you made of Seth Jones in this last couple of months?
I like Jones. I like his ability to play big minutes. He's going to be relied upon a lot here early on with Ekblad missing these first couple of games. A long-rangey defenseman can get up. He has the ability to log. He has his whole career, 25, 27 minutes a night. The one area that you watched that he does still have some warts in his game that kind of carried over from Chicago, I believe, is trying to do too much at certain times. With this system with Paul Maurice, you don't have to just make the basic play, the simple play, the easy play. Everyone else is going to do the rest. It's a very easy system. It's north-south hockey. It's straight lines. Just get it out when you have to. And Seth, when he does get in trouble, just seems to overcomplicate it, make a pass that tried to force it through here or maybe. So just know this is the playoffs. He's gonna be extra motivated. It's a long time since he's been in this kind of situation. He's got all the talent in the world. Just for him and maybe the coaching staff relaying to him is just that old KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, stupid. All this it might seem simple and stupid, but just make that easy play. Make that easy play. And then he has the ability, when you got the chance, jump up in the play. We know you can skate, and everything should work out fine the first couple of games. And then once Ekblad gets back, you should be able to balance out the minutes a lot better on the back end.
Are they better than they were last year?
That question is yet to be answered. On paper, they could be. Definitely. If you wrote down all the lines and you went compared to last year, I think up front, they're stronger. I wouldn't necessarily, even with Ekblad in the lineup, say that the defense is 100% better. That's a hard take when you have a player like Montour and Oliver Ekman-Larsson that are really quality defensemen that have to leave. So I believe the forward grouping is a little bit deeper. The defense is on par with last year. Has that same kind of ability. Are they better? We're going to have to see how all this fits as. We haven't seen it really since the trade deadline with the rest and everything, just to kind of see how it plays out. It has the potential, let's say that, to be better. But also, on the flip side of that, if the chemistry's not there and not right, then you might have to see some adjustments.
How about Tampa Bay? Are they better than they were last year?
100%. No question. Way better. So if you look back at this is 4 times in 5 years that we met Tampa Bay in the first or in the playoffs, excuse me. First 2 times, Tampa Bay was significantly better than us. Missed a year. Then last year when we went and played them in the first round, they were a wild card team. They just weren't deep. Vasilevsky was coming off the injury. Didn't look like the same Vasilevsky, the same type of player. And then all of a sudden this year, they benefited. You talk about chasing those cups. They've had a couple of lengthy off seasons where they're able to build their bodies back up, get healthy. Jake Gensel was a big pickup. No discredit to Stamkos, but Stamkos could not drive play 5-on-5 the way that Gensel can. Their 5-on-5 numbers last year were around even. I think they come in plus 35 or plus 37, somewhere in that rank at even strength. So that's where they couldn't. That's where the Panthers are so much better last year. They could kind of push around Tampa, have to worry about their power play, but you could push them around 5-on-5. This year, not so much. And then again, Julian Breezeball getting Yanni Gourde back and Oliver Bjorkstrand to kind of fill out that roster. It's It's complete. It's top to bottom. Defensive McDonough coming back is huge. It's so of all the years, there's kind of been a tilt one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Going into this series, this is about as closest that these two teams have ever been matched up.
Finally here, Billy, it's going to be some kind of atmosphere there, obviously, especially it's the first time last year that the Panthers beat the Lightning in the playoffs. Lightning fan wants a little bit of payback. Panthers don't care about the atmosphere, right? That stuff doesn't faze this team, right?
No, it doesn't phase them. They're good. Anything it brings the best. They kind of got that. Let's get into a street fight mentality. Let's dig it down deep in the corners. And if you're going to beat Tampa, they like going into that hectic environment. And then you go on the road in the first game of the playoffs. If you're able to kind of control things, you can quiet crowds pretty quickly. If you get the goal, that's why Paul Maurice was the rest. The DNA of this team is built for playoff hockey to dump, grind, go, and just we're with Marchand. We're one of the most disliked teams in the NHL outside our fan base, and I think that's a credit. That's the way that I was as a player, and I took it as an honor. So I think the same thing holds true with this Panther team. They like being that enemy or whatever, and going into hostile territory and proving, hey, listen, this is what we can do.
Billy, excellent job. Game 1 tomorrow night in Tampa. Of course, you could hear on the Panthers radio network. Billy will be there on the call. Thanks a lot, man. Always good catching up with you.
Always a pleasure, Zaz. All the best to you, and it's good to see you in person the other day. That was awesome.
I know. My son was very pleased to see you. I said, hey, you know that picture right here? It's over my shoulder right there. I'm pointing at it. I go, that diagram I got with Billy going around Ray Bork? That's Bill Lindsay. And my son was like, really? Why didn't you tell me that at first? He was very glad to have met you.
Awesome. It was nice to meet him, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, Billy. Enjoy the game tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you so much.